Hello everyone, this is Simaya Kar. I'm chair of IEEE Turkey Women in Engineering Affinity Group, and now you're watching IEEE Turkey Women in Engineering ET Talk, and we have great, inspiring entrepreneurs today with us, and we'd like to have a brief introduction for you, and we have Samantha, Mercy, and Janati. Thank you for joining. Can you introduce yourself briefly, just before we start with the questions? So, I would like to remind audience this is an interactive conversation, and we will have the discussion here. But this is a chance for you to ask your questions. Please, anytime during the presentation and during our webinar, please leave your comments and questions on the chat, and we will be addressing your questions at the end. We're going to have a question and answer section as well. So can we start with Samantha?
Sure, sorry about that. I just realized I forgot to record on the computer. I'm Samantha, and I have the honor of working for WIE 3D, which is a spin out of Engineers Without Borders, NASA Johnson Space Center, and we're working on making the world's largest affordable industrial 3D printers. They start at 600 millimeters cubed and under $10,000 US, and now go as big as a shipping container. And thanks to the support of IEEE and the community, we participated in a number of competitions and grants to get some resources to modify our filament printers to print from flake or pellets, which allows us to print from garbage. So we're now in 54 countries and growing and printing a lot of PPE right now, like these comfort straps and face shields during the pandemic with our community and customers. But we're so honored to be here today to share what we've been experiencing and what we've learned, and hopefully learn from y'all.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. And Janati, can we continue with you?
Hi everyone, I'm Janati Nachimea. I'm from Kampala, Uganda. I work with IEEE Entrepreneurship as the Social Impact Liaison on the 2020 committee. I'm also IEEE Region 8 for Entrepreneurship, representing Uganda section. I'm also a committee member of IEEE Uganda section, working as the treasurer. And in my other work, I also work with Solar Tutor Uganda, a company that I started with my colleagues. And basically that's it.
Thank you so much. And Mercy, can we know you as well?
Yes. So my name is Mercy Chelangat from the IEEE Kenya section. I currently work with IEEE Smart Village. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I work with IEEE Smart Village, and I am based at an organization called the MAR Trust, where we are working with the community to encourage sustainable livelihoods. I also volunteer for the Women in Power initiative and IEEE Entrepreneurship as the Social Impact Liaison, and I'm happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. And that was actually a brief introduction from each of you, and would like to hear your story even more and deeper. So we are in this IEEE ET Talk. We're actually hosting IEEE Entrepreneurship Initiative volunteer leaders. Here you have also volunteer positions. You're, in your career and your story as entrepreneur, so you have a lot of things to share with us as well. So I would like to hear a little bit more about your story, your education, your background, your IEEE volunteer. It doesn't have to be only IEEE, because in your background you have a lot of amazing things you have done already. But this year also you have the position in the entrepreneurship steering committee. So we have actually our volunteer leaders here. So it's like your involvement in the committee, in other roles you're now serving in IEEE or somewhere else. So like you can get a little bit more information about yourself. We can start again with Samantha, because you know you have a leadership role, your immediate past chair for the entrepreneurship committee. So like, so tell us your story.
Sure. I think I am maybe not the smartest person on this call, but I'm very thankful to be included. I'm actually not an engineer. So I was studying biology in school in my early university studies. And when I was doing that, I was looking for research experience because I really want to be an astronaut someday. So I got a job working, doing really basic mixing and feeding of cells in a biotech lab. And it was on a grant that started doing very well. And over the next 3 years, I had a chance to work more and more on it and to help write a patent for the technology. And when it made it to the end of the grant, we were allowed to start a company. So I started a company without my PhD for a biotech stem cell bioreactor, or as a bioreactor for a biotech company we started. And unfortunately, the recession was just hitting. So what's going on right now is very familiar to me. But we were so blessed and were able to sell the company in 2009 and receive a couple of patents along the way that we co-authored. And so then I went to work for NASA Johnson Space Center because I love space and had made some friends there over the years through different volunteer programs I had done. I participated in a program where you got to fly in the Vomit Comet for an experiment you wrote. And then I got to mentor other student teams from Detroit, where I'm from, to do it as well. And so I made some friends. My friends at NASA offered me a job as a contractor in space sciences. And as soon as I got there, I heard about this thing called Engineers Without Borders, NASA Johnson Space Center. And although I wasn't an engineer, I'm really interested in the design process and engineering and making things that have a purpose and that can help society. So they let me tag along, and it was in our travels to Rwanda, Uganda, Nicaragua, and Mexico through experiences we were sharing on the team and volunteering through Opportunity International that I became very passionate about seeing more access to technology globally, not just in certain, tech cities or markets you would normally think of, like San Francisco. So we came up with this idea for a toilet-sized 3D printer that eventually would be powered by garbage. And the community was really kind and shared our idea. And we received a grant from Startup Chile to have $40,000 to quit our jobs and move to Santiago and try and invent this printer. And we did it, and it was really popular. It was funded in one day on Kickstarter. And what we learned is that the people we thought that would only want it wasn't true, that people all over the world are problem solvers, which was really exciting for us. So in doing tech events, we met IEEE, and I would have never thought to join IEEE because I'm not not an engineer by training, more just by osmosis and being around really amazing engineers that I just really look up to. And IEEE entrepreneurship started telling our story and sharing us and promoting to the engineers on our team. And we just really fell in love with the organization. So I was invited to be on the IEEE entrepreneurship steering committee, and then eventually had the privilege to help chair it as it became a formal organization within IEEE. And my big passion for IEEE entrepreneurship was helping identify opportunities to make sure it wasn't didn't have a U.S. focus, that it was truly global. And Ken Stauffer is now the chair. I'm the immediate past chair, and it's just been really amazing to see all of the people that have made IEEE entrepreneurship a reality, and seeing it grow and scale and meet the needs of the community, like Mercy and Janati. And through that role over the last, 4 or 5 years now, being in touch with the committee, I've had a chance to travel around the world and to meet other sections of IEEE and to see just amazing human beings bettering humanity every day. So thank you so much for including me in this. And I can't think of another experience where I can meet and talk for an hour with ladies from Turkey and Rwanda and Uganda and in the US all in one call as friends. And it's just been a true blessing. So yeah, thanks for including me as a non-engineer.
That's an honor to have you and all of you, of course. And you're very humble. Like, three of you, you're really inspirational. You're really amazing, and with everything, just like with all your story, and you're smart. You're very smart. Thank you so much for sharing the story, and also, I mean, three of you, you're very inspirational. And Mercy, I would like to continue with you. And can we hear your story and your life-changing decisions and everything, and your volunteer roles and so on?
Okay. Sorry, I'm having some trouble with my stand.
Okay. Do you mind if we just continue with Janati first, or are you fine?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable?
Janati can continue.
Okay, so we'll continue with Janati, then we'll get back to you, Mercy. Janati, can we hear your story?
Yes, so my story is, well, when I first graduated, I graduated with a science education degree, and I became a tutor for physics. And I was working closely with students on their project work, like helping them to do their project work. And I think a year later into my teaching, the IEEE Uganda section came to our school and decided to work with us on a project to design solar chargers and install them in a rural community. And I was selected to work with a team, and that's when I met IEEE people for the very first time. I liked the project. We designed solar chargers and we took them to a rural setting for women to use to charge their phones and then get an income out of that. And I was happy that the IEEE was a community that was going to like help people use technology to help humanity, but they were giving these chargers to the community for free. They weren't asking for anything in turn. So I got really concerned about that. And I continued to work with the IEEE with different engagements. And I think it was in 2015 when I became a full member with IEEE. I registered, and a year later in 2016, I went back to school for my master's degree in power systems engineering. And that's when I fully transitioned into engineering practice. And I continued work with IEEE, and after some time, I started lecturing at a university in the Faculty of Engineering. I still do lecture. And then 2 years ago, in 2018, my journey to being an entrepreneur started. We registered the company that's Stolen Twitter in Uganda. And along the way, I think the biggest challenge for me has been to work with people. Because when I first started out, like being an entrepreneur, it was difficult for me to come up with a team that was committed to prioritizing company work and doing what has to be done. So that's been a challenge for me, but I appreciate the fact that I started, because when you keep postponing something, sometimes you never get to really start. So for me, the starting is something that I really appreciate. And I've had to learn a lot. I've had to reinvent myself. I've had to rediscover myself. Every position that I got required a different version of me. So I've had to change a few things here and there. I've had to learn a lot. I've had to unlearn certain things. I've had to learn to embrace diversity, to be inclusive, and to accommodate so many people, because it's not every day that you meet like-minded people. Sometimes you meet people who are so different, but then you have to get a common ground. So that's been it for me, basically. I've been doing that as well as my volunteering work currently.
That's really great to hear from you and your story as well, Janati. And Mercy, is everything all right with your video?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Okay.
We're hearing you.
Okay. I'll just leave it like this. So, mine, as uh, said, Masi. So, from the IEEE Kenya section, and I currently work with IEEE Smart Village. So, how I came to be in the entrepreneurship sector is through IEEE Smart Village. So after finishing school, I did a bachelor of science in engineering, electrical engineering to be particular, in Moi University, university locally here. And then afterwards, I sought to, change the world with the skills that we have received from learning. And it was a very challenging and exciting journey as well, because I got to an internship to work with the Aga Khan Foundation, and through this, we were able to do a research on latest technologies such as mini grids and solar technologies that can be applied in the off-grid sector. So this was really interesting for me because I always have a passion for community development, and many rural areas are not electrified. And having seen this problem, I sought out to solve this. So the thing with research is that you sometimes do not get to apply as you have done. So at times things can take a while and you don't see the impact that you are making. So beyond research, I sought to apply the skills that I had learned, and I went to a company that was installing solars and doing smart metering. But the challenge I really faced here was that so much is required of you. You need to really show that I'm capable of this. And without that, no one is going to believe you. But more than this, the challenge that I faced, was of sustainability. I wanted to see that what I am doing is making an impact in the society. And in this company, it was not mine, so you have to go with what you're being told. And this is not how I wanted to go forward. So I quit my job at that company and I started volunteering full time for the Kenya section. It was a hard time, especially in the city without salary and all that. But thankfully, the motivation that you could get, the many people that you interact with when you attend and the IEEE conferences, it blew my mind, and I was like, this is my lifetime commitment, and there is no other way about it. So thankfully, after a year of volunteering, the PES, the Power and Energy Society, the Kenya chapter was formed. And this really gave me an opportunity to go out there and do the work. So we started encouraging many people to join, and knowing the interest that was there and the many people who want to apply their skills in the community, we all came together, and I decided to be on the front line. So I volunteered to do the secretary work, and over time, this secretary work turned out to be something more than I had imagined, because through IEEE, I got these opportunities. For example, the through the special interest group, you get to see the changes that are being made there, and you get to apply your power skills in the off-grid sector. And this was a match. And personally, for me, it's not about how many people get impacted. It's how much change that you have done, and how many people, how, if the few people have been impacted by that, then you can measure and say, this is a starting point and I can go ahead from here. So in one of the conferences, I was lucky to meet Robin Podmore, who's the vice chair for IEEE Smart Village. And I told him my dream. I told him about my vision. I told him about what I envisioned for the community. And he told me, Mercy, I don't think the city is your place. You need to go to the community and work with the people. And I got an opportunity to intern with the MAR Trust, which later on led to this Africa-wide business development. And now we are working with the IEEE Smart Village Energy Entrepreneurs to try and build on their business strategies. So I am not an entrepreneur. I do not have my own company, even though this is in the pipeline, but I work with entrepreneurs who are encouraging me to have that mindset. And for sure, soon I'm going to join the bandwagon. Thank you.
It's awesome. That's how it starts, and it's actually
Yes.
an entrepreneurship effort already. You know, like the supporting, also having that ecosystem and network around you, and sharing and inspiring people. That's a lot of commitment, and
Yes.
it's how it
True.
starts. And it's great to see all your stories. And it's just a beautiful path that the way you have chosen, and all the people around us who are also taking these kind of initiatives. It is beautiful, but it's very challenging. Maybe that's why it's beautiful. So all the challenging, like the stories in my life, I always call it. So it was very challenging. That's why it was beautiful. So and your story is also very inspirational. And I would like to ask you, so what are the challenges you face with in your entrepreneurship story? And thanks to those challenges, what are your takeaways from these stories? So and also for entrepreneur, it's never the end of the story. When you started something, everything starts from beginning. So it's like, and you're a serial entrepreneur, Samantha. So maybe we can also start with Samantha for this question and continue. Um, can you share your challenges and takeaways with us?
Yeah, I don't know where to start. There's so many. I would say, I mean, at the highest level, I didn't wake up. I woke up as a child and I dreamt of being an astronaut. I never dreamt of starting 2 companies, and I never dreamt I would have 2 companies during recessions or hardware companies. So it's been a journey. Yeah, I would say, there's the COVID or coronavirus challenges we all face right now, and then there's just the challenges in general, and sometimes they're related. But for WIE3D, we are an open source company. We are a hardware company. We are socially driven. So we say we 3D print with purpose, and are working on the cost and scale barriers to accessibility, so that anyone, anywhere, anytime can have one more tool to help solve their local problems and to create economic independence. So that social mission means that we don't have maybe the same priorities that a company that had a big investor would, that wants to grow quickly and scale and then sell it. Like, we want to be around as long as possible, or see as many people be independent and solve their own problems, so we're not needed. That means that being open source, socially driven, and bootstrapped, because we're not a good candidate for investment and we don't have an exit strategy, and we manufacture everything ourselves in a factory in Houston, means we are very much a minority. And what's even more complicated than running a factory in the United States, which is less common, is being bootstrapped. We want to keep our product as low as possible, as we possibly can, for the price point, so that more people can afford it. So we don't have like very big margins, and we discount our time, so we pay ourselves less money so we can put more money into the product and all the things you need as a startup. So it's kind of a different way of looking at business. And, you know, some people have thought it was really cool, and some people say that we're crazy. So there's like that culture change and looking at new business models, doing good to do well. We believe in what we were doing and in our mission, but, you know, not everyone thinks that way. So I think there's like the cultural hurdles, and then, you know, there's the reality of trying to find the money and make this happen. And when you start a factory or a hardware company, you know, it's great to make a prototype, but then you have to think about, how am I going to do this over and over again? How am I going to ensure quality? And you don't think about, you know, standard operating procedures and international and national standards that you have to meet to have industry penetration, and the thought leadership you have to put forward to help shape that so you can scale more. And you don't necessarily think about safety requirements in the factory. And then the bigger one for us that's been the biggest challenge in trying to make our large printers also be able to print from trash directly is, once you release your product, so for us in 27 hours, we were funded on Kickstarter. So now we were in 23 countries overnight. Over the last 7 years, you know, we've grown to 50 plus. Well, those customers are buying our product now, our current portfolio, and they, you know, they have a certain expectation and they're doing really important stuff. So anytime we improve the printer or we come up with a new one, that's a version, right? And when you're holding inventory to support a community, and you've trained your team to make it and ship it, and you have marketing material and, you know, different resources they need, anytime you make the tiniest change, it has a ripple effect across the company. So that's something that we're constantly learning about. We have an engineering change request log now. It's a spreadsheet that blasts different teams when we make little changes. But, you know, our technology is evolving quickly, and beyond that, finding the money sometimes to do R&D and not just support operations is, you know, constant tension in the team. So what we've had to do is apply for grants, and we've gone to a lot of pitch competitions and shared our story, because every little award and every grant or every person that introduces us to someone else that that has confidence in what we were doing kind of opens up a new door. But finding time even to do that and all the day-to-day stuff is really hard. So, you know, there's that tension between doing development to help your customers and community down the road, finding the resources to do that when maybe what you're doing is not the most popular way of doing business. And then also, you know, just the day-to-day operations and ensuring that everything is documented, that you're holding the right amount of inventory, not too much if you know you're going to make a change. Constantly involving your instructions, your standard operating procedures, being in compliance to have a responsible factory. And then at the end of the day, you know, we talk a lot about our customers and our community because we see them as our micro investors and who we believe in, but we have been called to serve with this group of 20 plus people that works with us. At the end of the day, like, we are providing an income and a culture and this Re3D family. And sometimes I forget as a CEO that, you know, my teammates are just as valuable, if not more, than my community. I spend the most time with them. We get to know their families. And so, you know, when you face, you know, a recession or coronavirus, you know, we have a responsibility to try to remember that and not just think about, like, how do we keep the company going and how do we serve our customers, but how do we serve our team when, you know, they've been exposed to COVID, or, you know, they have significant life events and have anxiety about the future. And then how do we ensure that, you know, especially as, you know, maybe their partners or their family gets furloughed or laid off, like, how do we preserve their income so that their family, you know, has some security financially. So those are some things, you know, I think about now in general. And I think within all of those challenges, there's micro challenges. And I'm really thankful that we have a team that has a lot of diversity of thought. As Gennady talked about, it's really important. Sometimes it's frustrating when you're working with humans because you're like, why doesn't everyone think like me? And you always think you're right, especially when you're a really stubborn entrepreneur like I am. But that the balance and having different perspectives, especially right now in coronavirus, can be really helpful. So, you know, with our team right now, we get together every Tuesday. We used to only have, you know, retreats or big meetings, you know, a couple times a year. But now we get together every Tuesday and we take an hour and we go around and everyone shares where they are, what's going on. And so we have teams in Austin, Houston, and Puerto Rico, and one teammate in New York. And you know, we talk about our challenges, we talk about, you know, our fears, and we learn about all the hobbies people are taking on as they've been in lockdown for months. And lots of people on our team are adopting puppies too, which is cute. And then we give the honest perspective of like, here's the bank account. If things stayed the same, this is where we'd be. Here's a grant we're working on. And we open it up too for new ideas. Our shipping manager came up with a great idea for a product to support local businesses. And so, you know, we believe that, you know, having 50 eyes is better than 2 or 4, especially right now as things are changing so quickly. And communication, especially when, you know, a lot of our engineers now can't go into the factory because we're trying to limit people in there. You know, communication is already more complicated. And so just providing a vehicle to say, okay, 1, let's remember we're all human. 2, we're in this together. Here's where we are. So you have as much information as you and your family need to make decisions and to understand, you know, the reality. And then finally, you know, knowing that we're in it together, you know, how can we continue to support our social mission and support the community longer term, and just really having that open and very candid conversation, I think is really helpful, especially, you know, right now. Not to say we have any answers and we don't fight a lot.
And Janette, so you're actually an entrepreneur in the energy sector. So, like, what are your challenges and takeaways from that, from your experience?
Yes, so for me, my journey began 2 years ago, like I said. I had never started a company before, so definitely it was challenging to get started. Like I said, when we first started out, we were 6 people. 2 of us live in Uganda, the other 4 live in Rwanda. So it was not easy connecting with the other 4 people. So eventually I had to get them off the team and then get new members. And then getting new people, some people weren't as committed as they should have been initially because people were working. This is like you're building a company from scratch. So you have to dedicate time and there's no money coming in immediately. So it was difficult for some of my members to stay on board. So along the way, I've had to readjust. Nonetheless, I reached out to like Samantha and then Ken. These guys have started companies before and they did so well. So they provided the right platform for me to become a better entrepreneur. I'm still learning. Like the learning process doesn't really end because there's so much I didn't know. I had never done this before. So it was very, very difficult for me initially. I remember telling Samantha, have you ever thought of quitting? When she was in Uganda, I told her that. And she's like, yes, well, I did, but you don't really quit. So I was like, okay, I can't just run. I need to finish what I started. So I decided to address some of the factors that were not really in line. And at the moment, I think we're on the right path to getting there. So it's been a journey, I should say. It's been a journey with lots of challenges, lots of things that I didn't expect I would meet. And then also engaging with the community, because if you're designing a solution, it should be meaningful for the particular community that you're designing it for. So engaging with the community and addressing the social cultural dynamics has been an issue that we've had to look into. And then getting the funds to start hasn't also been easy. But along the way, we managed to get some resources here and there, put money together, and then come up with something to start with, because it's important to start. When you keep postponing something, you never really start. So you start with what you have and from where you're at. So the takeaway is that I have learned a lot to work with people, work with different people that don't think like me, act like me, look like me. It's been really challenging, but I've had to learn how to work with people, how to accommodate different people. I've had to use every challenge as a stepping stone to become a better person, because you need, at every stage you need to be you need to come up as a better person. You need to come out better. So I've had to use every challenge to be the best version of myself. I've had to learn to cultivate a positive mindset. I've had to look at the bigger picture in every situation. So all these are things that I have learned. And of course, the IEEE entrepreneurship community has provided the platform for me to be a better entrepreneur.
That's amazing to hear your story, and also how did you inspire each other? You know, like, and even Samantha is there in your story that is actually we touch each other's life. This is really, this makes the, you know, our stories even more interesting and amazing, and we're connected. So like and learning is lifelong. We keep learning together. We share each other. We share our story with each other, and I'm sure by sharing here your stories here, we are now touching some more people's life. And I hope one day we will just hear that, you know, just like the, I watched this ET talk, then you were just saying that, and they will reach you out, and we will inspire more entrepreneurs and more people in their business. You know, it doesn't have to be always entrepreneurs, but you know, like, you are all amazing leaders in your field, so you're touching people's life. And by sharing the story that Mercy is like, also now, as you said, you're not currently entrepreneur, but actually you have a lot of contribution and learning from your experience right now. And it's like Samantha and Janette's story, and you're touching so many people's life, and you're learning from them, you're teaching them, you're just like sharing and caring people also. So and you know, and you're actually facing and experiencing many people's challenging in different business. So I would like to hear from your perspective, and what are those challenges from your side, and you're preparing to be entrepreneur in the pipeline. So like,
Okay, so uh, thankfully, most of the challenges have been highlighted by Samantha and Janati. Now, from what I have seen is it's really hard to get a product out there to the community, especially when you're doing research. So you need their input in order to design the correct or appropriate systems for them. And mostly when this is not taken into consideration, there are a lot of challenges that come up along the way. So I just remembered a story when Janati said that she was asking whether she should quit. And so 3 years ago, I started a company, but then I left it hanging. Now it's just there dormant. And the reason for this was, as some have they have mentioned, for example, access to finance. If you could even need just that finance to have the bank secure that you do not have the qualifications to go there. When you go to the go and bid for, say, tenders and all that, you get discouraged because you know you are fighting with very big people and competing for the same position. So what motivated me to even join IEEE was the fact that uh, IEEE has a wide variety of people, and it's people who have excelled in the technology sector. So they have managed to learn the skill and make the product and put it out there. Now, how to learn about that is so I joined IEEE majorly because I didn't have this the skills. I was very shy. I could not even stand up, to people and say this is it. And I thought that these are some of the challenges that prevent us as engineers from going out there. And IEEE gave me the platform to speak confidently and not be afraid. And I think these are just part of the challenges that prevented me from going forward. But I'm very happy to say that right now, that is the least of my worries, because at least I have met so many people, like Janati, I met in Abuja last year, and we were able to share all about the entrepreneurship community. And immediately I joined, because now I have an idea in mind, but how will I take it out there? I need to count on the IEEE entrepreneurship for, the right business model, the canvas, how to write all the considerations to look out for as you are entering a certain business. And one factor that Samantha has mentioned is the one of the grants. Now, many of our energy entrepreneurs, they get the seed funding, but then it's very hard to sustain themselves beyond that. And that's why at the fund development committee, we are trying to work whether with corporates, if it's with their social responsibility departments, to ensure that at least we can build up funds that can assist them to go beyond that pilot stage. And I think, as you have mentioned, that the grant writing, the writing of proposals, and all that, all the financials, it's quite some work. And without the knowledge of all this, going blindly into the entrepreneurship field would be very challenging. And thankfully, we have the IEEE entrepreneurship community, and they are very motivating. And I think we have the same line of thought, because always we keep talking about ideas that one or two of us have thought about in the past and are willing to endorse. So all this, having these ideas and taking them forward to see a successful outcome, is what really inspired me. So just to mention on now renewable energy in the off-grid community, as this is my area of focus. There are very many challenges that people are facing right now, especially with the unprecedented changes. Hospitals were not equipped with power. All this equipment were even lacking. So for us for the community to go forward, we need to take care of this health aspect that may be a barrier going forward. And this requires working closely with the community to say, what do you need, and how can we help you? And then actually going there and doing the work. And I was impressed by the many innovations that the IEEE members have come up with. And they are working together to take this out there into the field. So this is really inspiring. And as a person who wishes to really be, have my own company someday, these are the things that I had to go to the site to learn, and work with the entrepreneurs themselves to see what challenges they're facing, so that I myself, when I go, at least I'll have the ready mindset that this is what I anticipate and this is how I can avoid it. Yes, so that's it.
Thank you so much. So, and actually for the next question, I would like to ask your inspiration and motivation behind, and what did inspire you the most about entrepreneurship idea and taking this initiative in your story? So we can maybe we can go with Janati first. Janati, what was your inspiration?
Yes, my inspiration was that as engineers, we need to provide meaningful solutions to address the challenges in our community. So when I saw a challenge in the community, like the lack of access to power in the rural areas, that was like my motivation for me to come up with a solution that can address that. And because by then I didn't really know that I could be an entrepreneur and I could start a company to see this through. But that was the beginning of my motivation. And then going to the different workshops and engagements and networking with people like Samantha, Ken Stoffer, and all the people at the entrepreneurship initiative. And it just gave me like that. It increased my motivation the more and enabled me to see the idea through.
Samantha, what was your motivation?
Yeah, I never thought I just want to start a company, or I want to make a stem cell bioreactor, or I want to make a toilet-sized 3D printer that prints from garbage. For me, I was always inspired by a problem, and then I was just really fortunate to always have made good friends who were also very motivated, who wanted to solve it with me. So both times the teams kind of came together themselves, and for example, we're re3d.org in our URL, even though we're for profit. We'll probably become a B Corp this year because we just thought we were going to sketch some open source designs and put them online, and then people would use our designs to build these big printers. And over time, because the community was so gracious, they provided grants and vehicles for us to try and sell them as well. And so that's been really cool. But yeah, for us, it was more about the mission and the problem that we saw both times. And then that inspired us. And along the way, we just met amazing humans like Mercy or Donati or yourself. And then end users who said, yeah, I think I could really use your product. And so that was really motivating to us. And we talked to a lot of our customers on a regular basis. And that's been really cool. It's like some of them have started their own businesses, and just to see what they're doing. So I think it's more our customers now that inspire us, and the community, like the IEEE network, and particularly the women in engineering. But initially it was just a problem, like kind of a gut. Like we're like, I think someone needs to work on this, and maybe we should work on it and join others.
Absolutely. And Mercy?
Yeah, so my inspiration was getting to work with the Ma Trust. So getting there, this was a community that I was not used to. And it was a new experience for me. So getting there and learning about the different initiatives, they really motivated me to have the entrepreneurial spirit. And my roommate in the Ma Trust, she's called Esan. She's the Women Empowerment Officer. She really inspires me a lot because you can see that from just a little step that you can take, you can inspire so many people. And the beauty about working in this community is getting to see that change in mindset because of the work you have done. It's very encouraging. And you're like, if this person who has no education at all can do this, who am I not to?
Absolutely. I actually would like to link with my next question, because you also said and also in Samantha's and Janetta, I mean, like there are a lot of women and teammates, and not only women, of course, like the people matters. So like the people really inspired us, is sometimes just an idea itself, and sometimes just just the people around me inspire you, like here. And actually, with all the initiatives like IEEE entrepreneurship, is, as you mentioned, like women in engineering, having this great network around us really support to just like take this initiative, even if it's challenging. Just want to continue because like you have a lot of great motivation and you have the support, so you're going out of your comfort zone, so people really support, and people matters and ideas matters. So like to ask, maybe, like, we can continue with Mercy, like, what do you think about empowering women, because like here, even in each other's story, that we even mentioned several times, like how you touch each other's life. So like when we have the support in our network, we continue. So how do you think about empowering women in entrepreneurship fields? So how important is it? What we should do more?
Okay. So I think so many women, they have that spirit to do anything that they have set themselves to do. And there are many inspirational women who have been ahead of us, like Samantha, you see, and they are inspiring us already. So the thing that is left for us is now to spread the ripple effect. I am empowered. I need to empower my fellow woman, whoever that may be. You will get something in return. And the thing about empowerment, as I have realized, is at first it's only that stimulation that's required to really get people going. And it's very I think it's touching to see that just by listening to someone in a conference, for example, speak on something, it can motivate you to change your whole life. And I am hoping that this WIE talks as well will empower someone out there who was planning to start out on something, that this is their time and they should not wait. That's also to myself. Yes, so I'm also inspired.
I really have the same hope. And Samantha?
That was super beautiful, Mercy. You inspire me. I would say, we talk a lot about women in engineering and supporting each other and how we make women think about things differently. And in the United States, there's a lot of conversation now around, in particular, around maybe women not having the same opportunities and women maybe getting less investment in the U.S. And but I think when we talk about empowerment, it's just as important to talk about not only the barriers, but also the opportunities. So I'm really blessed that I am in 3D printing. And while in the United States, manufacturing has not seen maybe as many women CEOs running factories as other countries, when you look at 3D printing, there are a lot of women in 3D printing. And I am not the only woman CEO running a factory in 3D printing. And so I think what I have noticed, and so when I go on stage, sometimes I wear this flight suit to talk about how we came from NASA and we're so cool. And also because I have decided that I don't want to have a conversation about like the girl or the girl in the skirt, but a conversation about how my team is 50% men and 50% women, and they have been for 7 years, and we've never hired for that. It's just happened because I believe that 3D printing is kind of gender agnostic, if you will. And so is a lot of the emerging technology. People care more about what you did and what you're doing, and they want to talk about the projects and how you're solving a problem to support society. And that to me is really empowering, especially for women that maybe are discouraged by some of the barriers. So I think it's important as we work together to elevate maybe experiences or opportunities that are super inclusive right now, where while we explore why maybe some of the traditional communities have been less represented with women, just to continue to expand that landscape. But I'm really excited about emerging tech. And then, even though the coronavirus has maybe made it a little bit more complicated for us to export our product, it's been really cool with these Zoom calls because I've noticed my global community is stronger and more united, especially with the women, because we're so eager to share and advocate for each other. And coming online is a lot easier than traveling, especially when we're bootstrapped and we don't have the resources. So that's been really cool and inspiring to me, because I feel like I get to interact with you guys more than when we were all heads down trying to do our own thing. And so that's been a real blessing. I hope going forward we continue to see more of these opportunities. So thanks for bringing us together, Samay. This is how I learn and grow and get inspired when I get overwhelmed.
Thank you for your kind words. And Janati?
Yes, I think that women's development in entrepreneurship is an instrument to women's empowerment. And I think that we need to bring more women in engineering into the entrepreneurship space. And in Uganda section, mostly what I've done is we've put together the WIE affinity group to bring more women into the IEEE Uganda section to participate and to take up space in entrepreneurship and take up leadership positions, because women play a vital role in building our economy in many ways, and they form a very important segment in our labor force. And if you don't empower them to do things, then the economy is also not going to grow. So we've been able to address that diversity by allowing room for more women to play a role and to get involved and to plug into the different programs, the different events and workshops. We have addressed certain topics like entrepreneurship, as well as other topics for them to pick up and be a part of us as well.
Absolutely. And like we already mentioned a lot about women engineering, but actually you have leadership roles in volunteer leadership roles in entrepreneurship committee, steering committee. And for those who are not really familiar with this initiative, can you tell us about our Triple Entrepreneurship Initiative from your perspective, and tell us a little bit more, especially for our audience if they don't know the initiative that much. So Samantha, can we start with you?
Sure. IEEE entrepreneurship is kind of born out of necessity, because we look at historically how groups like IEEE support engineers over the course of their lifetime. You see student chapters, and then engineers would graduate into really big corporate companies, and maybe would continue their membership, or they would sponsor events, or academia where people are doing research. But things have changed, right? So now you have all of us, we're connected to startups, and we have ideas. And like myself, you may or may not be an engineer. You may or may not have graduated from college or ever been a student member of IEEE, but you could have the next flying car company. And there are resources now around bootstrapping and funding as we've leveraged, and grants or the matras that aren't a traditional way of how you would get funding for your technology. So there's a need for engineering-driven technology to connect with people in this changing funding and entrepreneurship landscape. And so IEEE entrepreneurship is a way of making sure we stay relevant, allowing groups like myself or individuals like myself to become members, to benefit from the resources, and getting to meet people like this that are, say, non-traditional, as well as helping those academics. We're seeing more and more in the startup scene, and I love this. We're in Mass Challenge Boston right now, and there, for example, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are not in their 20s. They're maybe in their 50s or 60s or older, because they've been in academia or corporate world for years. They're the subject matter experts and engineers, and they are ready now to become entrepreneurs, but they still need to, some assistance in building that community and knowing where the resources are. So it's a way for IEEE to support them, as well as within corporations. Now you hear about entrepreneurs, right? So people that are, maybe the skunkworks team within their organization, or they're changing culture in their company of engineers. So it's, again, just providing a vehicle that's more democratic, that's accessible to support engineering technology that can benefit humanity at all walks of life, regardless of, maybe how many letters you have in your email signature or titles.
And Mercy, you're muted.
Okay, so for myself, I would say the reason why I joined IEEE entrepreneurship is because of the unique model. And as Samantha has said, it incorporates all the minds, which I think is the best place to work. And, because incorporating your skills and using them to build something meaningful, and you actually get to see that impact, see that smile that you have put on someone's face, is what I aim to achieve in the end. So IEEE entrepreneurship has been this point where we have the business and the humanitarian angle meet, and this has really been impactful for me. The other aspect also is for mentorship, and through the mentorships, for example, Janati being mentored by Samantha and Ken, um, this is, I think, revolutionary, because in the future, I believe everyone will be an entrepreneur in their own way, and the earlier we start, the better.
And this networks help. And Janati?
Yes, the IEEE entrepreneurship community to me is very diverse. It's very inclusive, it's vibrant, it provides the right platform for somebody to become a better entrepreneur. It's a community of people who are passionate about anything to do with entrepreneurship. And it has enabled me to easily connect to the pulse of what's happening around me, and to also connect to the larger technical startup community. Basically, I think it's where you can meet and learn more about business and how to perform as an entrepreneur, and to connect with other people in the same business.
And it's amazing that this initiative connects people all around, and just create this network. As you said, just as like even before COVID, we were very connected all around. So like we always describe that we have a global family all around, that we keep inspiring each other. But this initiative helps a lot, so it gives us the direction and so on. But today now we are connected from several different countries all around the world, and I'm sure whenever we need to consult each other, we need to ask each other, we're able to reach out and just like share our knowledge and change our life, help us to make some other new life-changing decisions. But still, like it's great to have such a great structure there in under IEEE. So we know what to do, we know where to go, and we know how we will shape the future together. This is also very important. And so I would like to also ask you how we can contribute to the social impact by taking these kind of new initiatives. So it could be like entrepreneurship, or like volunteering for such a great committee under IEEE, or taking new initiatives and just bringing new ideas on the table. So like how we like contribute to create more social impact for the humanity with our initiatives. So, Samantha, may I ask you this question first?
Sure. There's been kind of this sub theme of like diversity of thought, and because we are all different, and we're in different geographies, and we have different problems that we either observe or we experience. I think social entrepreneurship is different to every person, and there's no right answers. There's not like a really good like playbook on this is how you have a social enterprise, or this is how you be a social entrepreneur, especially with all the the grants and the different tools and resources available. But as Mercy suggested, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and you've got to just start someday, because every day that every time you share your idea, or sketch that prototype or apply for that grant, you're learning, and you're also interacting with someone that's that is reviewing and experiencing or reacting to what you share. And that's how you're learning, right? You're getting feedback, you're doing rapid prototyping. So I think one is starting right away, and two, not feeling like, you have to be making a printer that prints from garbage to be a social entrepreneur. It could be that, you're a social entrepreneur because you found a process that maybe is saving your company money in transportation or logistics, which is in a second or third offset is actually bettering the environment. So, deciding what you're passionate about and what you want to commit to, I think is step one, and knowing that, there's no right way. And then two, just getting started right away and getting feedback along your journey is really important. And then, as Johnny pointed out, like seeing it as a journey, like we're continuously learning together. Finally, I would say, as a social entrepreneur, I think we depend a lot on the support and advocacy for others to get outside of our networks, because we are so busy a lot of times with all the unique challenges we encounter. And the reason that we all are able to get where we are is because, as we've all highlighted, other groups and individuals that have inspired us. So it's really important, I think, even early on, to always be trying to pay that forward to the next generation of social entrepreneurs, and particularly women. So we at Re3D, I spend a lot of my time, like on the weekends, answering questions from talks we've given or whatnot, or listening to other people's journeys, because I'm learning from it, and I want to repay the kindness that Ken Stauffer gave me to the next generation of social entrepreneurs, regardless of how old they are.
That's true. And for the new initiative, actually, Mercy, I would like to ask you. So you already mentioned a little bit. Actually, you mentioned quite a lot, but for the Smart Village Initiative and Africa Development Fund, Africa Fund Development. So can you tell us more about these initiatives? How we can contribute to social impact or take advantage to make our dreams happen with these?
Okay, so for myself, I would say that these new initiatives are really key, because over time, the challenges that we face keep changing, and it's us who are experiencing them. So we need to find solutions for them. And since we are the ones facing them, coming up with a solution will not be as hard as someone who's just designing something from without having any experience of this. And I will give an example of for example, when we are sizing the microgrids, we check we try and survey both their current needs and their future needs. So once we have this current needs identified, we try and see how this current solution will help achieve the long-term solution. And this is what we are hoping to achieve all over through our initiatives. And the thing that I have realized with Smart Villages, the projects are very dynamic and unique. Every location has its own challenges. Every country has its own policies, and getting together to work through this, getting to identify the resources that we can tap into in the different communities in order to use them for their benefit is really beneficial. And this, I can say, I can attest to, because I saw this in the with the Ma Trust, whereby so in the Masai Mara, where the organization is based, there is a lot of sand, and the sand is just lying around there. And the we thought of a solution, and the solution was to bring a brick maker. So it's an eco brick maker, and this was used to produce the bricks that were used to build the same vocational training center that we were hoping to achieve. This in the end saved us transport costs, and we were also able to train about 50 youth on the brick making, so they are able to go and teach this elsewhere. And the director, Trust Crystal, she usually inspires me a lot, because she usually says that, the Maasai youth no longer want handouts. All they want is a skill that they can pass on to someone else, and all of them can, in turn use to achieve financial stability. So I think such initiatives are constantly being encouraged, and we try and encourage our volunteers to take part in this initiative, because they also learn and get to apply the skills that they have practiced. So yes.
Thank you so much. I hope also all these information will help more people and to make their dreams happen and take initiatives for more for a better future. And I'd like to ask Janati, um, so because you're also entrepreneur in the renewable energy industry, so what are the entrepreneurship opportunities in the solar and renewable energy industry? Because it's energy is actually the sector is like very domestic, like but also there are a lot of opportunities that we don't see. There are so many big players and so on, and there are so many policy-based initiatives, but there are more opportunities than what we see for the future of energy industry. So it will be great to hear from an entrepreneur in this renewable energy.
Well, there are a number of opportunities in the solar renewable energy industry. They span across the entire value chain, right from the PV cell production to managing the national grid. And some of the opportunities are, for example, designing the PV cells. Entrepreneurs can come in to get equipment to assemble the cells and then manage the entire distribution process from the plant all the way to the wholesalers. There's also an opportunity in PV panel distribution. Entrepreneurs can start businesses to ensure that the panels get to the right customers. There's an opportunity in PV panel installation. So entrepreneurs can start businesses in training their employees to install the panels and in training their clients to manage and maintain their systems. The opportunities in conversion of solar energy to more useful forms, like moving away from the traditional forms to solar power generation systems. So entrepreneurs can implement and plan and manage these systems. There's an opportunity in managing the national grid, like adopting new strategies such as net metering programs. This can enable the independent power producers to sell the excess energy back to the grid for further distribution. So there's an opportunity in that area. There are also opportunities that cut across the value chain, like training employees and training clients, drafting manuals, value chain integration, providing consultation services, as well as other opportunities in that line.
Thank you so much for sharing these opportunities with us, and for those who are interested in this sector as well. And I would like to get back to Samantha. So Samantha, you're actually a global player, like as a leader of a manufacturing base, and with this creative idea that you're doing global operation, but you're also reaching out a lot of local change makers, and you have a lot of connection with them, throughout IEEE entrepreneurship or throughout your own business. I would like to ask you, what kind of initiatives do you take empowering local change makers?
Yeah, so we have a few things that we do that are kind of core to our business model. One is that we give away every printer, we give away one printer for every 100 we deliver to someone trying to make a difference in their community, which has been really cool to witness. groups now that maybe got a printer 7 years ago, still doing amazing things and inspiring the next generation of 3D printing ninjas, we call them, and for very unique applications, like Tokochibo Clinton in Nigeria, or Tuna Panda in Kenya, or emergency floor, formerly emergency floor, now every shelter, with refugee camps and flooring. But beyond that, you know, as a social enterprise, we take that very seriously. And then as an open source company, so we do a lot around trying to provide education around how to use the printers, or getting feedback from the community on ways that we can improve or co-create products. And then beyond just the 3D printing community, on the hardware side, you know, with COVID now, we're looking at PPE production, and then sometimes in highlighting the stories of our customers that are also doing that for their communities, and then sometimes providing introductions or combining courses. Say when the laminate runs out in a country for the face shields, or if an area needs more support. So we've just worked with a number of actually different printing companies and makers in Houston to supplement an effort in Nigeria where they needed a lot of PPE. And then, you know, talking to other groups in the United States that maybe have a shortage. So I think for us, you know, you have to stay really flexible as a social enterprise, because as we said, like sometimes the need changes. But providing vehicles for open communication is really important to us. Kind of having those basic tenets, like we will always, you know, donate one printer for whatever, or we are open source and we are going to make sure that everyone has access to this information. And then beyond that, we try as much as possible to at least share our failures. I think that's really important, not just to talk about how awesome we think we are, or Gigabat is, or our customers are, but also talking about all the ways that maybe we could have done better, or where we've learned, or where we failed, so that you know, other social entrepreneurs who don't have a lot of time and resources don't make the same mistakes that we did.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for taking all those initiatives for to support local change makers. Like to continue with Janati. So you already addressed a lot of business opportunities in the renewable energy industry and solar industry in particular. So, and you're one of the change makers in this industry, and energy is actually in transition. So there are a lot of new opportunities coming. So how to be a change maker in this transition of the energy?
Okay, so to begin with, energy transition is like a pathway towards the transformation from a fossil fuel-based system to zero carbon-based systems. So in order for you to be a change maker, first of all, you need to appreciate the fact that we need to transition to more eco-friendly systems, and then decide on exactly what you want to do in there, because there are so many opportunities. Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to do advocacy work? Do you just want to do something different? I mean, decide on exactly the path that you want to take. And then after you've decided on the path that you want to take, then you equip yourself with the skills that you need to be able to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. In my opinion, I think it's important to get mentors. I have mentors. I have people that mentor me, so I don't feel lonely at all times. When I get a challenge, I can run to somebody. So it's important to have mentors. It's important to believe in your abilities. It's important to trust yourself and trust the process, because it's a journey. Things won't happen overnight. And sometimes the work that we do is not glamorous. There are failures at one point, there are challenges. So you need to appreciate that ahead of time. Appreciate the fact that it's a journey. Expect that there might be some challenges, but be able to develop that tough skin to go through all that. And you need to, first, you need to also be able to look at the bigger picture in every situation, because you don't lose sight of the goal that you want to achieve. So it's important for you not to lose sight and to get in touch with the right people to get you there. get the people that you need to get so that you can achieve the goal.
Thank you for your inputs. And Mercy, would like to ask you the entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship opportunities in Africa in particular, because it's an emerging market, and there are a lot of not just like new initiatives can be taken there. So we'd like to hear from your perspective. You're muted.
All right. Okay. So from my perspective, I think there are lots of opportunities available, especially these are presented by the challenges that we face daily. And I will reference my case to still the off-grid community, because that's where I'm really passionate about making the change. And so some of the initiatives we are working on, for example, are how do we use this electricity that we are giving the people to make a living out of. So we are encouraging income generating activities. So think of, if your area is has a lot of fish or has the potential to, you can come up with a power system that can power the fish, and then you can also think of extending the value chain to the storage and processing through this power that we are bringing. If you think about transport, about 40%, I think, of the world's pollution, it comes from transport. And how do we solve this? Some of the rural areas are not reachable. When you think about how to get to that community to do the work you wish, you have to worry about getting there first. So some of what we are thinking of are incorporating electric vehicles, and thankfully the technology is becoming better over time. We are having good batteries. um, we are having also, the remote control and the smart aspects of the technologies that can help us really solve different aspects of the community. So by working with the challenges that the different people in their communities have, I believe everyone can be a social entrepreneur. And I am lucky to have worked with the different entrepreneurs in Africa, and every day you keep learning about their challenges. And for example, if it's, the water that they are not getting, how do you use this power that you're giving them in order to get that water to them? And besides getting that water to them, can you also put a price, a small price to it, so that it's not for free and everyone can keep earning an income? This are just some of the steps that I believe, if taken, we can be able to achieve the social entrepreneurship goal. And the thing I like about our IEEE members is that they are so innovative. So I would like to encourage them to take advantage of the skills they have used in school. It could be as simple as helping the community draw the water from the stream. It could be as easy as understanding the needs of the community and taking the technology which is right to them and encouraging them to pick it up. Those are just some of the entrepreneurship aspects which I believe are by the people and for the people. So what I like about social entrepreneurship, and as Samantha said, it's not cast on stone. Everyone is doing something depending on their communities, and it's so unique, but it's also so beautiful to see just how the skills that we have learned, when applied somewhere, can bring a lot of change.
Thank you so much. And I would like to thank all of you for this lovely conversation, as it was such an inspirational almost 1.5 hour with you. And we are just like wrapping up all the conversation lastly, I would like to ask your final words and advices, Samantha.
Yeah, I would say, again, start now, ask her questions, be bold, and find your tribe, whether it's within IEEE or another community that you identify with, because there are so many people that want to support you and to celebrate your adventure.
Thank you so much. Mercy?
For myself, I would like to challenge us all to get there, identify the solutions in our communities, and start finding solutions for them, because we are the social agents of change. Yeah.
Thank you. Janati?
For me, I'd like to say that it's important to do what you love. Go out there, find something that you're passionate about and do it. Believe in yourself, believe in your abilities, trust yourself, trust the process, be willing to learn, embrace exposure, be willing to learn so many different things, and believe that you'll eventually get there. So for me, that's it.
Thank you for all your time. I'm really happy to know all of you, and you know, like being in a part, being in a big family all around the world. We are a family, so like, uh, you touch so many people's life, and you spend these hours with us in IEEE Turkey initiative as IEEE Turkey ET Talk, and really, I said earlier, I really hope we reach more people, and we touch more people's life, and all your kind words and nice words will also reach change people's life and help them to shape their life as well. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for spending your time with us. We are very pleased to have you in this TTT talk. Like to just like shortly close. I would like to actually continue talking a lot in another hour because it's too hard to close this conversation. I really hope to meet with you somewhere else soon around the world, and or meet with you online by another opportunity sometime later. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for
for
having us,
having us.
Simei.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.